Hey guys, Eddie Udo here, giving you your critique for week 4. So week 4 was all about form and tone, learning how to draw cylinders and cubes and spheres and cones, um, learning how to shade them, trying to discover the hidden geometry underneath everything, from the human body to animals to your laptop to bottles to furniture. Everything can be broken down into variations of those 4 basic forms. You can squash and pull the different forms to fit the different needs, but everything is basically those 4 forms. I'm going to go through your little characters here and give you some feedback and tell you how you can take this further. So first we've got Aimee, Jaxon, Carl, and Anna. Thanks very much. I quite like them. I like Aimee's top hat character. That's awesome. First thing that sticks out to me here, let's just jump straight into it, is these arms. There's a discrepancy between how long both of these arms are. So we can see it. So that arm and that arm, cool. They're like equal length, but then this one is way too long, or this one is way too short. So I'll just teach you how to fix that up. So you would need to, so either I elongate this one or I shrink this one. I'll show you how to do both. If we want to elongate this one, I'm going to elongate it like that. Let's see. This has to stay the same, so I'm going to just elongate it like that. Right? And then bend this arm kind of like that. We just got a ball here. So let's got a ball. It connects. You get the whole arm. Just connects to this ball. And yeah. So that's how I would fix that problem. Cool. Or, even simpler, just shrink this. So, shrink it down to something more like that to make them work. Sweet. Now, let's talk about this character's head. I don't exactly know. Well, I guess it's because of the hat. I don't exactly know if it's like an upside down cone, or it's like a pyramid. It seems to be. I guess it's a pyramid, right? Because you got this shade, this side here. So I guess it's supposed to be like something like that, right? That's the shadow side, I'd imagine. I imagine it's kind of like that. In which case, I guess I'd try to make it a little bit more obvious. So maybe we can have him like that. So we have that platform for the hat to sit on. Right. And then we can put that hat. Consider that like a cylinder, like a ellipse. Bring that hat in. Cool. Bring that hat down a little bit. Yeah. Cool. And then remember to give it that little that extra sense of depth. Take into consideration the shadows that the hat will then cast on the the underside of your character's head, right? Like if light's coming from above, right? Cool. Light's coming from above. You just shade that in. Like always remember, so when you have an object, right, and light's coming from above. Remember, you've got this is the form shadow that shows the form on the object, right? But then remember, you've got the cast shadow that the object is leaving underneath. So over here, you've got the shadow on the hat. This is the form shadow of the hat, then the shadow that it's casting, and this is the shadow that's casting on top of your pyramid head, kind of thing. Back to my shadow. Yeah, we can just put a shadow under there, shadow there. Here, light's coming down here, right? So there. And the legs would be in the complete shadow of the this pyramid. Then shadow underneath the feet, even the shadow of the shadow that this is casting on the ground. So it's kind of here. Shadow overlaps the shoes a little bit. Shadow of the arm. And this arm as well. Yeah. But yeah, I quite like it. Character's kind of sassy. It's pretty cool. Again, remember the shadow that this thing is casting on this sphere, that this cone is, this pyramid is casting, and even like the shadow of the hats, everything going down, right? It's all casting shadow, even there. Now that I think about it, maybe this could be in shadow as well. Yeah, that'd be all in shadow. Yep. Right? So what we're having over here, like that's the shadow that the hat is casting on our arm. Yep. Whereas this area is just the form, the regular form shadow of a sphere. Here, another cast shadow. Yeah. Right. That's how I would do yours. Aimee, sweet. Oh, okay. Even one sec. Let's see. Over here, you actually did some. Over here, you would you're shading the feet to so we can separate one side from another. That's how you'd have. Yeah. Cool. Sweet. I think. Yep, happy with that. That's it for Aimee. Good job. Let's see. Jaxon. Alrighty. Let me just collapse on my layers. Sweet. Jaxon. I would just say be a little bit more careful with the drawing. Right, so let's see. When you're doing, let's see, especially cubes. Make sure your lines are accurate. So you're drawing this cube. You've got this line coming that way. Sweet. So this line should also kind of be going that way, right? This line going into perspective, right? It's going that way, but this one's going that way. Now, oh, actually, if that's on purpose, like you want your shape to kind of be almost like you want this to be like a trapezium, right? Then my mistake. But if you are trying to make it a cube, then you want this to be. Actually, I'll show you how to do both. If you want this to be a cube, then you got to make sure that these are all kind of going the same similar direction. All right, so that's like that. All right, so these lines are sort of going to the same vanishing point. They're almost parallel. Then over here, again, I'm trying to keep that line in line with this direction. See, like these lines are parallel, right? These two. So that's what I would say for that. So erase these arrows. That makes sense, yeah? Like you want, that's how you get it. What else can I say? Same thing with the feet. Like, get that. All going. See, these kind of like lines a bit sloppy, so you want them to kind of all go in the same way. Move this a bit to that side. You have space for this cylinder. Same thing here. Sweet. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah, okay, so just in terms of functionality, like this guy, he's supposed to be walking, right? You got him walking. It's unclear to me how his legs are rotating. So like either there's some sort of like hidden like ball socket underneath, right? You know, for the leg to like, right, here's the ball socket, right? And then this leg comes out, you know, for him to swivel his foot around. You know, here's his foot. Right? How's he gonna rotate? Or what I would do is I just sort of like let's see, I'd cut him up here so he's got like a pelvis, quote unquote pelvis area, right? And then just like the human body, how we have our legs inserted into our pelvis, and you could put like here's ball, and that's where like the legs can come out. I think that's one way. That's how I kind of do it. Like if if I'm designing this guy to move, right, to walk, you could even, if you want to move this, like if it's too far out, you have it move it in there, move it in there. You know, closer to human, move it in there, and then you like split up the leg so it's got like room to move. Like a socket for these, for like almost like underwear. For these kind of balls to move within. Do that sort of thing. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, same thing for the arms. Like you need, again, if it's got to move. Also, these don't line up. So this arm is higher on the body than this. If you know what I mean. Like if I drew him straight, like here's the character's head, neck, body. This arm is like here, come out there, and this arm is coming out like there. You see what I mean? So you'd want it to be more like, let's see. More like that. Yeah. Right. And also you'd want, like the arm needs to be able to swivel, right? So it needs to be on some sort of like ball joint again, like just like the human arm. Let's see, maybe. Maybe like like here's a ball joint for the shoulder. Ball joint here. Where's the arm then slots into. You know what I mean? Let's bring back that arm. Do you know what I mean? So the arm can actually move up and down. And also, let's see. Also, this arm is, again, way longer than this one. So I can just, let's just extend that. So we've got this thing here. Ball joint. I'm going to extend that arm out. You know, like this, like you can see, like that's short, that's short. It's a little bit longer, so this should be a little bit longer. And then he's got his hands, which is like a cube. Very good. Cube. And I guess they're cube fingers? Are they cylinders? I'm not sure. What did I just done? Yeah, I think they're sort of like more blocky sort of fingers that you've drawn. Like, cool. Cool. Again, with the hands, if you are like, remember, if you're drawing the hand as this block, right? There's a block hand, and you're gonna have these like block fingers coming out. Just keep in mind, like, do you want them to be able to bend? If they do, if they are supposed to bend, then you're gonna want, you know, to segment them up, right? Obviously, do they need, you know, knuckles? You know, there's that thumb joint. There's, let's just say this is the thumb coming out here. Is the thumb supposed to, you know, have a ball joint so it can swivel, right? You know, and then this one has to bend as well. And this has to bend, then it needs a ball joint. Do you know what I mean? Just like think like logically, that kind of way. Think logically about it. If things need to swivel, if things need to bend, you know, what do we do? Cool. All right, I just spent a few more, maybe 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes on Jaxon's piece, just to see how I would take it further. So we were at this stage before. Just basically, I redid the drawing aspect of it. Then I thought, oh, maybe I can just do a little bit more on like the rendering, the shading, that kind of thing. So then we got over here, right? So you can see the difference. So what I did was, so yeah, we've got, you know, the main light source coming over here, right? Hitting from here, lights coming from here. We've got like a hotspot. This is to show that the ball is sort of reflective. The ball is now casting a shadow under all over here. Ball casts a shadow, and this is so the shadow of the head. A little bit of light peeking on through. Over here we have, like, you know, because if you've got a cube, you got your table, your desk, then the light shines on it. You'll notice that the rim, the very edge, has like a white highlight on it. That's because that's because for industrial design purposes, you can't just make a table edge that's razor sharp because people have to people would cut themselves on it, right? So you actually don't in real life don't get that for man-made objects. The edge is always sort of a little bit beveled, right? So when the light comes, right, when the light is coming, light hits this area the most, right? Which is where you have. So if we zoomed in super close, we would see like the curve going on there, right? The beveled edge. So that's why you get this highlight over here. Highlight there, highlight there, highlight there. Over here, under here, this is a lighter value than this. So what's going on here is we have the ball, light's coming there. So we have our shadow area, right? But we also have reflected light, so white light that comes in, hits the ground, and gets bounced back up. White light comes, gets bounced back. White light comes, gets bounced back, right? And that's why you have some light coming back on the underside. That's what that's about. Yeah, so light bouncing back up into there. I even have this is a lighter value than this because again, light's coming and bouncing back into the underside of that. We have the body is casting a shadow over the leg. What else? What else? And this side is a bit darker than that side because we still have the shadow that this head is casting on that side of the body. So I'm not going to get like this white highlight here because it's being blocked by this ball. Yep. This side is pretty much more in shadow. Again, no white highlights because it's being pretty much cast in shadow there. And then if I wanted to take it farther, I could put like the white highlights on the edges, definitely there, kind of thing. Cool. Moving on. For Anna, that's cool, but like you've chosen a really sort of a sort of strange angle to show it at. So as you can see, like with here, for Aimee, you sort of got like a 3/4 view. For Jaxon, you also got a 3/4 view. So with 3/4, you can really show a bit of the front, a bit of the side. Over here, it's just a straight on side view, right? And so I think like a more 3/4 view, or like a side view plus a front view could have helped, just to show a little bit of the dimension. So what I would do is, I'm going to turn this guy that away, right, and bring him a little bit more towards us. So first thing, I would just, all right, does this neck bend or is it just straight? I think I'll just, I'll say it's like a giraffe, right? So just, that's the head. That's the head. All right, and then I'm just going, I'll turn this muzzle a bit to the side. So we got the head. And then I'll just bring, just even that, right? gives us a little bit more, gives us more of a sense of the three-dimensionality of the character, of the drawing, right? From the side view, we couldn't really see if this muzzle, was it supposed to be a round cylinder, was it supposed to be more flat, so by changing that angle, so when I'm doing drawings, I always try to think like, what's the optimum angle I can pick that's going to show the most form, so that's the eye. Let's give this guy a little bit of eye. There we go. Sweet. Or already from there, we've got like a bit more of an interesting drawing, right? And then we got an ear at the top. I missed out the ear. So now we can, in 3/4, we can sort of see a bit more of what the ears are doing. Let's see. We can move that around. Then let's bring around. I'm gonna bring. Oh, something I can do to help me get this thing going into perspective. I I'll do it lightly in red. Let's do it in red. What I'm doing is I'm sort of imagining this thing going like going back in space. So the front there, the front ball, right? And then I want him to kind of go. Maybe I kind of just do that to help me. That's, I'll just make it really light. It's just a guide for myself. So now I know I can kind of make the character like that. Oh, it's raining outside my window. Don't know if you can hear that. Okay. Like this, and you can see he's got a little bit of tail. But I will put in. Oh, also, I'm going to pay attention to my center line, right? So how do I know where I'm going to put the tail and all that kind of stuff? So here's my center line, center line, center line. Center line is just kind of like that. Center line. As you can see from the back, the center line should be something like there. Around. So this is where I'm going to be putting my tail. And then I'm putting in my. I'm pretty sure you can hear the rain now. It's pretty crazy. I might have to speak a bit louder. All right, then putting in the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how I would help this image. Cool. Oh, and Anna, okay, so something I noticed that you do when you're shading, right? The shading is a little bit chaotic. So the idea for the shading is, how I think about shading is I try to shade in the direction that the form is going. So for instance, it's all over here. It's pretty random, pretty chaotic, right? Let's just say, I'll show you how I would shade like a cylinder. So I've got a cylinder here, right? Now I'm going to be shading, like with my pencil, I would make lines going in that direction, right? So I would use my lines to kind of show the form that way, instead of like random, right? Which, like, let's say in the whole image I've got like 1,000 brushstrokes. Why waste my effort doing this stuff that doesn't really help my drawing when I could like focus a little bit more and I can use lines that show, that show the form. and it can be so helpful. Over here, you know, I would shade all in one direction here to show like that cap. You know, all going, or all going like that way, then back. You know, you could go shade, 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 kind of like that. So when I'm doing this kind of stuff, if I was shading, I'm going to shade it. Like let's say light's coming from above. Yep, cool. So I'm going to shade like again in this general direction. Yeah. You know, up to you. That's just my suggestion. That's how I personally like to do it. That's how I found it helpful. Let's see the ears. Shadow here. Then the head is going to cast a shadow over here, right? Underneath the whole neck. Actually, the whole neck's actually going to be in shadow, really. It's basically it's basically a cylinder and a ball is blocking all the lights, right? So casting everything here in shadow. Over here, like I'm taking into consideration the shadow of that snout, right? So that's my cast shadow, and then now I'm just going to shade like the regular form. So over here, light coming from there, cylinder. You get this sort of shadow light, so it's kind of like that. Shadow and shadow. Over here, right? Like the light is catching the top, so it's not really in shadow there. And then of course the whole thing is casting this shadow underneath. Right? The light there. And of course the tail gets a little bit of shadow. Yeah, so Anna, that's how I would approach yours. Okay, for Carl's character, I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on, if it's a human or a robot or something. There's some weird stuff going on over here with the legs, like the legs are kind of crushed inwards. So I'm just gonna make it not so awkward. Widen up the hip, this block here. Now, I guess the legs can be a bit straighter. Kind of thing. Like I'm not sure what is happening here. That's what makes you think she's like a robot, like she's in parts, like that's the top part, and there's some sort of like a thing that connects to there, and that's her head. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you were going for here, but that's just what I would do. And then again on hands, make sure you pay attention, like what's actually going on with the hands. Is it made out of a cube? With fingers attached. How will the fingers attach? The knuckles going to be spheres, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like how is it moving? How is this thing supposed to be working? Yeah, just be kind of conscious of that. Yeah, and then just overall shading. Shading will help give this thing some more form and tone, right? So, which is the whole point of this. So, let's just say top-down lighting. This is a ball, basically, right? So, shading a ball. Head casts a shadow, nose casts a shadow on the lip. Hair casts a shadow on the head. Head casts a shadow on top of the top of the torso. I guess these like breasts. I guess some sort of spheres. They show a form shadow, and they cast a shadow. There's shadow in there, I guess. Shadow here. This skirt is casting a shadow there. Legs come out. Wait, this foot sort of stepping into the light. So there's a shadow underneath the feet. And of course all this can be some shadow. Yeah. Yeah, I guess, I wasn't really quite sure if this was a robot or a human, so I didn't exactly know. I might not know the exact best thing to do with it, but from what we got so far, that's what I can suggest. Okay, good work, guys. Thank you for submitting. And if you don't understand any of it, if there's something I said you don't understand, or you would like some clarification, yeah, please let me know. Okay, see ya.